Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the fascinating evolution of why our workplaces are structured the exact way they are today. Have you ever looked around your office or maybe your remote team setup and wondered, who actually designed the way we work? Why do we even have middle managers? Who came up with the annual performance review or the whole idea of the standard 40-hour work week? Well, it absolutely didn't happen by accident. It's the result of decades of intense study, observation, and theoretical evolution. So we're going to unearth the hidden history behind your daily grind.
Okay, let's dive into this roadmap. We're going to start with Part 1, the core of management. Then we'll explore Part 2, the efficiency obsession, before shifting into Part 3, discovering the human element. And finally, we'll wrap up with Part 4, the rise of modern excellence. We're taking a really structured journey today, moving all the way from a time when we treated people like mere cogs in a machine, right up to building the holistic, high-performing teams of the modern era.
Starting with Section 1, the core of management, defining the daily grind. Before we look at the history, I want you to take a second and just think about your own daily grind. What is the ultimate goal of your workplace? What is everyone actually trying to accomplish together, day in and day out?
At its very foundation, management is officially defined as creating an environment where people work together efficiently to achieve chosen goals. Now that sounds incredibly simple in theory, right? But let me ask you, does your own team environment actually hit this ideal of working together efficiently, aligning a completely diverse group of individuals to seamlessly knock out goals without any friction? Yet that's literally one of the hardest puzzles in the business world. Creating that perfect environment takes an immense amount of intentional effort.
So, to make that seamless environment a reality, managers juggle 5 core functions: planning, organizing, staffing, leading, and controlling. And the absolutely crucial point here is that they execute all of these with one relentless aim in mind: productivity. In the context of management theory, productivity specifically means doing things effectively and efficiently. Think of it kind of like a delicate balancing act. If you have the absolute best plan in the world, but your staffing is completely misaligned, well, productivity tanks. You got to have the right people in the right places, guided by the right strategy, and led with clear direction to actually hit that peak level of productivity.
Now, what's really interesting about this process is how perfectly it visualizes the way management is supposed to flow from start to finish. It operates as a continuous, logical loop. You don't just jump straight into execution. The process requires you to first meticulously set goals, then plan the activities, execute those activities, exercise control and monitoring over the process, and finally evaluate the results so you can start the whole shebang all over again. It's incredibly structured. If a manager skips straight to execution without planning, well, chaos ensues. But how did we, as a modern workforce, actually figure out this highly disciplined loop? To answer that, we got to travel back in time.
Moving right into Section 2, the efficiency obsession, treating workers as machines. Back in the early industrial era, the workplace was viewed as this chaotic, unpredictable problem, and the very first attempts to solve it focused entirely on strict mechanical efficiency.
Let's quickly map out the heavy hitters of this classical era. F.W. Taylor is widely known as the father of scientific management. His entire focus was on raw efficiency and fair pay. He was famously known for standing over factory workers with a literal stopwatch, just obsessing over how to shave mere seconds off physical tasks. Then we have Henry Gantt, who introduced Gantt charts to track progress and emphasize cooperation, a visual tool you are probably still using in your project management software today. Next up is Henri Fayol, widely considered the father of modern management theory, who gave us the 14 fundamental principles of management. And finally, Max Weber, who developed bureaucracy theory to bring some order to massive organizations. You see, these thinkers weren't focused on feelings. They were trying to engineer the perfect, frictionless organizational machine, laying down the absolute fundamental laws of workplace structure.
But as we transition to Section 3, discovering the human element, a massive psychological paradigm shift happens in history. Theorists finally realized a glaring flaw in the classical approach. People aren't mere cogs in an efficiency machine. They started understanding workers as complex humans with emotional and social needs.
And this brilliantly illustrates that exact shift. This didn't just happen overnight. Thinkers like Frank and Lillian Gilbreth were still rooted in efficiency with their famous time and motion studies, though they importantly started considering the human toll and the human aspects of the work. But the real game changer? That was Elton Mayo and his groundbreaking Hawthorne studies. Mayo's researchers decided to change the lighting in a factory just to see if it affected physical output. And surprisingly, productivity went up whether they brightened the lights or dimmed them. No way, right? Why did that happen? Because the workers simply felt seen, observed, and cared for. Mayo proved that social attitudes, group influence, and just paying attention to people had a massive impact on productivity. Suddenly, it wasn't just about how fast someone could move, it was about how they felt and the influence of their peers.
Building directly on that new human element was Chester Barnard. He introduced the cooperative systems approach. Instead of viewing a company as a rigid hierarchy of mechanical parts, he argued it was a living, breathing cooperative system. For an organization to succeed, it absolutely required open communication and a shared willingness among employees to serve a common purpose. This just shows how rapidly management theory was evolving. We had officially transitioned from calculating output with extreme scientific precision to realizing the absolute necessity of human cooperation. Let's move to Section 4 and see how this builds into the rise of modern excellence and today's management pillars. This is where classical efficiency and human psychology finally merge to create the holistic organizational excellence that directly shapes the business world we navigate today. Let's rapid fire through these modern pioneers because they completely synthesized everything that came before them. First, we have Peter Drucker, an incredibly prolific writer who shaped modern discourse by essentially arguing that management was a liberal art deeply involving people and values. We have W. Edwards Deming, the absolute pioneer of quality control who completely transformed global manufacturing, especially in Japan, by putting quality way above sheer quantity. Then there's William Uchi, who brought us Theory Z, brilliantly translating those holistic Japanese management practices like long-term job security and deep employee care right into the U.S. context. And of course, Peters and Waterman, who quite literally wrote the book on what excellence in organizations truly looks like. The very best modern companies today blend F.W. Taylor's relentless drive for efficiency with Elton Mayo's deep psychological insights, creating teams that are both highly productive and deeply fulfilled.
So having traced this incredible evolution from F.W. Taylor's literal stopwatches all the way to the modern organizational excellence of Deming and Drucker, I want to leave you with one final provocative question to think about. Which era of management is running your workplace? When you log in tomorrow or walk into the office, analyze your own professional life. Is your boss operating like a classical thinker, obsessed purely with metrics and stopwatch-style output? Or are they utilizing a modern cooperative system that genuinely values social dynamics, quality, and holistic excellence? It's a really fascinating lens through which to view your daily grind. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep analyzing the structures around you.